nemaska lithium, gibarasa, buffet. Recht. Ik ga je iets stier met als je het met de snelheid gedaan. Maar stier niet zo doen je de badsum stagig precies. Als je het wat ik ziet heb ik had de badsum moet jij het niet hier winnen. Kijk me ga je ook in chies ga je het snack je die man. Ga go scout ik heb je doen weg Kelly LeBlanc is een gas zo. Ik denk dat is area environment hij should de je hebt snack je de badsum stagig. Ik chies staat ja ik heb het met je chies staat ik weet je want zo ga je ik weet je heb het snack so Ms. LeBlanc you can start your presentation.
First, I would like to thank again the Chief and Council for inviting the Environment Department, the CRA Environment Department, for attending this meeting. It's very appreciated. And thank you all for staying with us tonight. You're very courageous to be still here with us. And thank you for listening, and please do not hesitate if you have any question during my presentation or after my presentation. I will be pleased to respond. So this evening I will present you what is the environmental and social impact assessment process. During their presentation, François Dandenot, Robert Kitchen, and Bertie Whabouchi referred to this environmental and social impact assessment process that we call ESIA. So we'll be presenting what is this ESIA. So the environmental and social impact assessment process consists of studies by which Nemaska Lithium needs to identify, describe, and assess the positive and negative impacts of the Whabouchi project on the environment and on the people. So tomorrow, the proponent will explain to you all the studies he conducted over the last years and what he expects to be the positive and negative impacts of its project. The environmental and social impact assessment is a decision-making tool. So there will be two decision-making, one from the province of Quebec and the other by the federal. So the provincial and federal regulators will take a decision following this environmental and social impact assessment once everyone will have studied the project. And this decision will take the form of a certificate of authorization. François Dandenot in his presentation referred to a certificate of authorization. So that's the approval or, let's say, refusal of a project. And in a certificate of authorization, you have also conditions attached to the decision that the proponent will need to comply with these conditions all along the life of its project. The environmental and social impact assessment is a 5-step process. So the first step is, I know it's a little bit small, but you have posters outside the room also if you want to refer to it later on. The first step is the project notice. That's where the proponent, Nemaska Lithium, submitted preliminary information on his project. The second step was the guidelines. So an evaluation committee set up guidelines, which is more or less a grocery list in which the evaluating committee recommend all the components that must be studied by the proponent. So the proponent received this list and used this list to conduct all his studies later on biological, physical, and human component. So the third step is the actual environmental and social impact study. So that's where the proponent conducted inventories, many studies. He met a lot of people in the community to document the initial environment and the social milieu, and so he can later on predict what will be the impact of its project on the environment and on the peoples. So this study is a huge study. We have copy here. Members of the band council have copy of this study if you want to consult this study, and it's also available on the internet. The fourth step is the review, and that's the stage we are in right now, because the proponent, Nemaska Lithium, he submitted his study, I think it was in last April. And so right now there's committees that are reviewing this study and analysts. So the federal, the provincial, and the CRA are right now reviewing the study. So we are reading all the study made by the proponent, and we are asking questions, getting answers, and there will be also public consultation by review committees to know what people think about the project before the decision will be taken. And the last step is the decision. That's where the provincial and the federal government will take a decision to authorize or not the project with some conditions or not. So that's the 5 steps of this environmental and social impact assessment process. On a legal basis, there's 2 different processes. One is more provincial, and the other one is federal. One is set up actually by the James Bay and Northern Quebec Agreement. So Section 22 of this agreement set up the environmental and social impact assessment process that applies right now. But there's also the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act that has its own process. So the steps are very similar. The documentation is the same, but at the end, there will be 2 decisions. Yeah. So these are again, the 5 steps. Just to let you know that we received the project notice first in August 2011. Then the guidelines were sent to the proponent last February 2012. Then the proponent submitted his environmental and social impact study last April, and now we are in the review stage. So we are still reviewing all the documentation and asking questions to the proponent. And later on, maybe, well, by the end of the year, but probably more next year, in 2014, there will be a decision taken about the authorization or not of this project. And of course, there is public consultation. There will be public consultation by the federal, and that should come quite soon, probably before November 2nd. So soon you will be informed that the Federal Evaluating Committee will be coming here in Nemaska to consult the population. So you will have again an opportunity to ask questions and to voice your concern to the federal regulators. And the proponent will also present his project again. So that's an opportunity for you to ask more questions and make some comments and voice your concern about the project in the coming weeks. There will also be public consultation by the Provincial Review Committee that we call COMEX. So COMEX will be consulting the community probably early next year, we think. That could be before, but it will all depend. Like, the schedule is not fixed, so it's difficult for me to predict, but we think that would be maybe at the end of this year or early next year. On the COMEX, the Provincial Review Committee, we have the CRA appoint 2 members. Our members are Philip Whabouchi and Brian Craig. So it's a 5-member committee, and 2 of them are appointed by the CRA. On the Federal Evaluating Committee, the members are the federal department working on the review of this project. So this is Fishery and Ocean Canada, Environment Canada, Natural Resources Canada, Health Canada, and CRA also appoint a member on the Federal Review Committee, Evaluating Committee, and this is me in this case. So I'm part of this Federal Review Committee. So I will come back here before November to consult as well the population with this Federal Review Committee. At the CRA, I'm not the only one working on this project because there's too much documentation. I'm working, of course, with my colleague Alan that you met yesterday and that most of you know already. So Alan Penn is working with me on the review of this project, but I'm also working with Aurora Hernandez. She's our mining engineer working for us. Nadia Saganash, wildlife administrator, and Tanya Monahan, she's an environmental analyst. So we work in a team to review all the documentation submitted by the proponent, and we make comment and some advice to our CRA appointed members on the Provincial Review Committee. We also work in collaboration with the Cree Nation of Nemaska, of course. We work a lot with Matthew Tanush and Thomas Jolly in this case. We are working also with the Cree Health Board. Reggie Tomatuk will give a presentation after me. And we also work with David Denton, who is an archaeologist working for the CRA. So it's just important for you to know that we are many people working on this project, looking at all the documentation and providing support to our members on the committee and to provide support to your representative at the council board. So this is it for my presentation. I tried to be short. I know it's evening. So if you have any question, I will be pleased to answer your questions. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Ms. LeBlanche. As you just know, the Belgium Stagwich, the pisted when areas where you could stand with. As you can see, you could seminar as well. Very clear. So we can eat Chinese food. So we don't know what it is. En als ik maar ga en scheur en het is bit wat was stagwich. Als ik deze gemeente hier weer dan ik aan het het ook ga gewoon we gaan zeggen minus geld wat we hebben. Thank you. Ik ga als ik ben show en de Belgium Stagwich go weet het goed Reggie Tomadoc and the Cree Board and Health Social Services. Good ja wat zit. Goed. Als je dit zien.
Hello, Wajak. Wajak, Reggie Tamdig Nishangasun, Ida Jushim, Ait Nushiabitsin, Mubmatsiuna Chibimbitaganuzut, EU seats. Zobmauds, Zoptano, Tayam Snasud on it. Aguzid zida bis zit queenem nodes, zit stasim nodes, and zida stabach hagen nodes, utke am swot EU seats. Uyumaga bis ay presentations. Agut nanaku jishut nigno, ashka chedo edzi waftemi wedu you ay miub matsun. Uyuga dan ishwaptik and you ay health and social impacts of mining in remote First Nation communities. Okay, zgoyes amudman ogun he zgonen he miub matsun. Dan dabat siden ay utke public health department. In Yumagayo, mines, what are the impacts of mines on health and well-being of communities, of the environment, of workers? Min maganyo hay maximum benefit and minimum harm. Uyuka uga ayamudignot suyo hay. Ugo mihignot gasti. Msenigen mse ay job tenano mus job mano zaizit uziga miup matsun austats msenigen wit magwik dani shi shomox augen miup matsun msenigen aji jim senhigno augen dani shi shomox nay miup matsun bis zeitenano dani shi shomox bis ay muy zeitem zonzi ok miup matsun being live and well, a shishomoxga, maga duum shao, and God and a shishomox. Again, we have the physical. It improves one physical's well-being by eating well, proper rest, engaging in regular physical activity. Emotional, improving one's emotional state of well-being to deal with feelings in a positive manner. Much ugo aitik witamuka steam nodes dani datumk. Mental, improving one's mind and making a healthier lifestyle choices. Minmaga spiritual, improving one's connection with their creator through prayer and meditation. Musobmano ziyuds bomshen stuida mus steam hano. Ogmaga mayashid naitik. A waftemi wake danishin skamwik out kia megojab matsiekuti ustit. Nishtmago uga the whole globe. Nishkia tikanaxi yuds nishin enuktads and nagadoitit sayo. Utkia taikia megoj. Udziga egnobmko udzida steam stoshimnodzga tanjishbijab matsits janos and nagadrimanods awish taikut okumagai social current health and social issues in USC. There is high rates of certain social problems. Utkia USC Augenbeek 60% of youth age 15 to 24 are not in school, compared to 33% of the rest of Quebec. Unemployment rate are 17% compared to 7% of the rest of Quebec. And this leads to further health and social problems. Alcohol and drug abuse, violence and injuries, mental health problems, food insecurity, malnutrition, sexually transmitted disease, infections, chronic disease like diabetes, and overcrowding and problems of mold in homes Ched the mohigo the Wednesday the agi a nuch again sook the book same night the a twist the amud megan you to go again the chkamek again the shmushka go yegin the dante wiziek. Positive features in USC. Some features of Cree culture and society may contribute to better health. Miub matsun. Agun zizi etuishka zizi tudignus. Etuishka zibmikum kaginu community projects like summer games. Nishmaga continued to lead traditional way of life. Hunting and fishing, eating traditional foods, speaking the Cree language, learning from elders, self-determination and self-government. Msez waptenano yu eshk uyu heitik. Nujmag mioshu heitik suk koi bunta da. Ewichi could steam notes. Newmag yamudignutsayu health determinants aguhuyehut. We have the physical environment, social environment, lifestyle factors, health and social services. Agim so yeyut is goy we bikutadais we nagatstadao yuhut. Like the physical environment, we have the air, we have water, we have land, we have food, we have housing. Let's try not to break the cycle. Like in housing, people have problems with mold, and sometimes we ourselves, our home, we have the responsibility to look after our homes. We cannot always depend on the ban office. Like we could tell them, we could improve our the way our homes look like inside. And the health and social services are always available for us. They're always there. And sometimes when they have programs, ask we tauzi youths. We to dignutske, we chagno dog youths. Agma msti hai buksei tax nanoga tzi we chwek we miub matsi nanozga. When in public health, I would think I would now I Cree help board I eat that mute matsunia it's nagat. I would have took in our office, I would in the mistsinis. I didn't dabich I did a Nui Jabachi manans. I was at the community mute matsun centers. I got prevention programs. Mats. I got vaccinations, dental health, and diabetes, nutrition and breastfeeding. Nastom shti isnaksu CMC community mute matsun nashim shti he nagat shiguik. I'm shti maga naskuma danzid agziduzit. We chuats guised im mute matsikut utkia aitek. Irgendwie sie tutkia megach. Irgendwie sie waftmigwik. Nanakugia droye huit seitmeg mute matsunuch. Irgendwie wichigwik, wichagnodogia. Steam nodes nesang etuisha we nandu seit go wenzis. Agzi we chuads ge. and Whabouchi regional entities, Cree Nation councils, to promote healthy communities and healthy environment. And public health has a mandate to monitor workers in health. Oge ge esh nuit seitanan dawe muktega ogen he nianga udehya Cree helport which if we are new msayo minds in USC ogen he stue nui nandut seitanan niana and the biosinan did we cheat star did nando take note did nando take notes again you hayo minds ogen he eshkumi stuan and seitanan down guys good region 10 thousand exiden sie ge knopflitzen sie also knopfmals new minds Thomas sie die youths Agi we chose new mega against Tuinano在the Grand Council CRA ut message ut na against Tuira ut women's Agi ni go after me go we chat yeah and see the youths I was you after me you dog on you hayo violence get the jibit stagnots so maga and see dudes maken so sin ho swords and so good the two goods and the youths and edim sin hignots and guy declaration of non-violence gainanots again you beg it go here we chat and you eight nanots okay zwit magunano ja dante taich megoch zwit magunano I CRA Kelly dante danoj megoch Akmaga mugsui waftamid noga danten te duxent na Hawaii. Muchga muga stabihiweds ga muga impacts when the people that are impacted and nishta megaj and ga megaj 8 nanods then zits denan and then nuch and ziwa and zindu wap denan in Ohio dan is snacks gende Everything megaj gate tanods development everything tanods na nai wood everything we sent na mage eskets go esken nogen is nogen in you high impacts throughout all this the whole process of this development right through 20 years from now, the impacts from different projects that we have nearby your community, we still see those impacts, and the help board is dealing with them. Whabouchi stims and Udziga Health and Social Services utnaha nemaskatse Whabouchis. Social and health impacts of mining. There is positive and negative impacts of mining for both individual and the community. The positive goals would be to maximize potential health and social benefit, minimize potential harms, and ensure that the contribution of benefit and harm within and between population is fair. I'm going to hear mamu badawin anot. Impacts on the community. There is positive impacts. There'll be more employment. There'll be higher income for just a period when the mine is open. It enables people to purchase homes and food, among other things that people like. However, the actual impact on the community's employment may be small, but often have unexpected negative consequences. Aboriginal workers are a small portion of the total force in many northern developments. Musha Ganeshnaks and Heniship Shish, a wee to Pomagano dog a youths. I go joy yakin you hayu, Gistun. Si often anu ut na nashim ched usnizo zaga aga nash a school oda. Agun hen nashim stihui a book same at stoga steam notes. Jadi muiga jadi nshku stoza yo usnidzi mo. Jadi book same as tuis neushi sezi school it. I get to the Whabouchi week. It's extasim notes. So mods with the stuck shoes with ebbets. I was the youths sit out. Aga national school or youths. Aga my dads. It's extasim notes. I was the Whabouchi cards with it. It's extasim notes. And they got doctors, lawyers. I was the national do taxes. And do him ko jiji bijia but sees go the he was sit. The community becomes dependent on the mine. There is high unemployment and poverty when the mine closes. And that's what usually happens. Impacts on the community, negative impacts. Higher incomes from some families have no other may lead to. Gambling, alcohol and drug problems, family violence, separations, increased gap between rich and poor in the community. Most vulnerable, like people left behind, social tension and increased crime, children and youth behavior problems. There's gaps between communities benefiting from mines and those who don't. Regional inequalities. Impacts on the community are greater on women who take care on more responsibilities when men are working at the mine, including night shifts. Dads Kri helpor dads mwezi nandut semo nabem jibejich maguyata yushuyan min dionan shuyano de e tagnus ge nashkem shti enugnids squelga shaido dabitsun. When working in the mine and other development projects, women may experience harassment. Presence of imported workforce in the mine may continue to lose of culture and identity. Cumulative impacts impacts on several projects. That's a question that we had, is what is Nemaska Rose? Impacts of mining on the health of the environment. There's impact on hunting and fishing. Traditional food is less available, and it affects nutrition. There is noise, loss of land, and disruption of landscapes, impacts of spiritual well-being, and there is grieving, contamination of water downstream, especially if the till spawning, if it spills, which happens often. Mines may use up sources of underground water. There's increase of truck traffic, carrying ore, diesel, explosives among remote gravel roads, who will provide ambulance services and environmental emergency services. Workers' health. Mine has a high rate of injuries. Noise can cause deafness, and it has an impact on the general well-being. Rock dust causes lung cancer. Toxic substances of fumes, example, carbon monoxide. Night shift work and long work weeks, integrated of Aboriginal and other workers, language and cultural issues, and poorly planned on-site health services may lead to pressure on the Cree Health Board clinics. And it does happen. The Cree Health Board has experienced a lot of uncertainties from the mine, because either the mine or any developments that occur in the Cree within the EUSC, there are several problems that they do experience, either during working hours or after hours, because of emergencies or emergencies that happen in any time of the day, 24/7. We know that the Health Board works 24/7. Maximizing the benefit and minimizing harm. Some of these measures can be included in the impact and benefit agreement between the community and the mine. Some of these were mentioned today. Promote traditional way of life, minimize disruption to hunting, family life, traditional diet, consider community suggestions in the design of the project, and in promoting workers' rights, like dry camp, recreational facilities, computers be available to get in touch with their families. Make transparent and respect agreements for profit sharing, and promote training and equal opportunity for employment and spin-off economic opportunities for the Cree Nation. Maximizing benefits and minimizing harm. Make sure that the IBA is good to start and then ensure that the funding of a long-term follow-up committee monitoring both social and environmental impact. IBA is Impact and Benefit Agreement. It's like the one there is one here. It's the EDP, RDP. Ensure that the mine follow up directives with the Ministry of the Environment's authorization. Importance of monitoring both social and environmental impacts through the lifespan of the mine. And we encourage that the company respect ISO 26,000. It's a norm. Mines agiga and doimitstoga ziyabitstats. Eugen inge hai BNQ gaitshid eugen hai yabijin. Maximizing benefit and minimizing harm. Ensure funding of a joint community company committee to oversee monitoring of environmental and social impacts until the mine is closed and the site has been restored. Coordinate the emergency response plan in advance with local authorities and determine the lines of communication in case of any emergency. Conform to government regulations for the duration of the project, including the restoration of the land. As a nation, address the growing issues of gap between rich and poor. These gaps are lead to social conflicts, crime, and worsens health. I just want to emphasize on emergency. That's one of the things that we would like as a health board, is that all entities, all First Nation councils, and all projects that are involved include the health board in any emergencies. And that's it for the presentation of the health board. But I just want to remind you that there are the different phases, and when there is going to be a public hearing, the health board. It's a book same nange. Agamaga and sits the mega zagon, Augenga did you get Simuyak Magnus and I am Chedu Hai Cree help board I Ukstasim Augenhead did you eat Shiguika a Duisga did in system Augie you hai social impacts Gainanots Agude. Again, we inskomage beaches. I got to tarot na. The storm sti nugenu Whabouchi stits. I Whabouchi nutke steam watts. Agmaga buksema I naskama beaches get zitadge na. Zedin stagwick. Yege maga questions. I got to the Wichidatske and sits to make. Nishmaga agage the Nashko Shish to Godega the Cinematan may mean maga the wit madats.
Harry Jolligan, it's in Casson. Den sitter den Geschwistein. But Mam Nedam Higun I have. Back in 1980s, Utnevskat Gadat, I went in Demagano. I hair samples to for mercury. And there I took out some canos. Now, EM1 guy was some canos and dish. I have got a retriever diversion. And my guy, and I should be asked what I'm not being there. I can watch actually LG2. I mercury to Goncinano and going walk and mesh Cinano. Now, Cree Health Board, I have. Cree Health Board, I have. We are when better on you, I have. The young with the nothing here. Because my brother, I have Robert Schuberda, Mushukspor. Nishno gab abhogno nachtukon was in May. I to go palm there, warrior, I could do a tea start. A comment great new. A kayak shit. The hospital gets behind not now. A college magno, I can't go time and beat it down. So, and I get accept my brother. I'm going to actually change the message. That could change the message. So, every summer people go all Nemska for fishing. Gacha. Eskimo to Dohagno join the Tabahaya. Tabaka Yaksuga. Tabaka took in again. Tabaka should be a mercury gam. She then guy have a tissue to go Haganochi, she then. I would take a swam native again and her. Cosnia, I have. Or most I in pack, I have, or then Epscotty Dutch. So good, I here's not special, or which are diversion. So he do hydro, Miogumoa. Now, Miogumoida. A Queenas went down, I have. Genji Dahagano on a message. I do guy, I don't have a bit stoned. Double head our wings. Because in Jishin Jin, the mail got to show Chagano Doi. We don't there. We are his spirit. So we are his spirit, we may not send be. I'd knew I did that, I drove me on and be then. I don't know if we have the answers, because he did not. We do test on again, and I squared him down again. When did you do Hagno down the message? So you do the there, then to the inscription.
Agora. Jeśli chodzi o in the 80s, the Nando Magnodag, so utke EU seat, the Jim Chados, the Nando Magnodag. And we Tanush Nushpeto, Cree help board as the Abbot Sidan. I go she tagnodan, the Goy moon the mess. Muinos peton, Cree employees at the dadayo, udiem goi munamis. Uyuhayo. Nemesa yamu magnut. Cree help order distributazayo. With the First Nation councils, Grand Council, Jedi universities, as you which as we nand at duish as we nando tsemagnodoyuts, Danish mu matsi the gayu. A good 2002 jichbu, Agun and nando tsemagnodoyut. And dogunum sueniums in Hagen. Anti creehealth.org bitawiage. Agutnaham say, bitawi, Agutnaham say, but snigonoconiums in Hagen. Okay, in my guy, Mercury and guy, I would stay 30 years, Nandu say to my Hydro Quebec. Again, the we chat new hayo. Cree Helport. CRA nishtanga ayo the councils agi ayo ezi babitats ezi nandoi magno doga nemeses mushada nishtang moi si optena tseo ezi babi tseo on your post office mso enji chmogno agu yayo in magent Dant mag me you should miss or dant na how gan nandut se magnodanzit miss me you shigonzit agni de guike dabei mir mogent interviews gudum zenods muy shun miss I'm saying nanako dant hitad miss Agun hey, how do you say it? I'm saying in Tedadnemis, Daba moose to me assumed in Tedad. I was a ghost of me taking us and guy and gone to be. Ok. Would you guy? The dating ni nashim shtihe we chigan uyuhit na we mugnemes. Aguni to guik mub matsun mushu magnudnemes mugnagaduit danish meat sweet. Ni gashan skut magwike dan ji shooten kan nemes. Agin we chigun de henny.
You know what you're going to do now. Because I thought a year ago, my mother, I had just magno in the mess from a Whabouchi River. I come up in the mess. I didn't show on her. We nast muse book sugar. So this summer I went to Mastasni, Kashmuguyas, I have a Nemeska. That's to each stone here. So I'm going to get him down. We asked him to say, I music and the message. Good to get him used to it. Because I would go chain there. I would go chain, ask her to Rabba and Messiah, music. Ask her, I would go chain, my music on mess. So I'm going to talk to an epic ton now. We know you got stone there. We know you got stone there, and I got sit mess. What you go snack say, you know, see. Go 28 dollars. We just semano 20 yaks to do in the patch to shin there. I would have been screeching.
Be good. big Dragon Mugan Giteni Nashim Mukskachigan Mugay EU Mijame Mijik Intmaga Whabouchi Mubmatsun Cree help board guides, the Whabouchi nutritionist dads. Okay. And then get you meet sweet in there. Then he nanos and I fry on anod medium. Sastronos, yeah. Sastronos. I'm going to have him squat. I'm going to Nashaga me odds and Emijik. Agmaga Mstiga. Nigidenia Nashimstihe Wichig, a Mubmatsun, the Twisted Mubmatswick. Again, Gawichuat or Ostaganots or Yahut. Agmagam Steen, Nagatstadar, than Tronid, and you get the Nishamitswick. Agneeds a Twish, you medium, you medium, Muga and Nagatstag, Danish. Danish Schmitzweg. Nende gedunus is some Sean medium. She weeks get EU medium. Miaga a mediananos EU medium. Wimugan, Winas Mutu Dagonano and head. Chunewi Saxon Dan and Chi. Mchede Agonis Naxes gay you. Agma et dudes Kimioshu. A dish the Whabouchi doik in you high to the Mubmatsuika. A good day.
Hojagumsa, Lillian Jolly Diamonds and Gasson. And isto moich kwet semayan I and school gayemet tano wana pictures go the matsko Kawitek and you I have a question regarding the federal public consultation in Emska. You gave the date as November the 2nd, and I don't know if that's a set date. It's a Saturday. And we all know how our community is practically deserted on weekends. So I just wanted to make note of that. Okay. Okay. All right. Halloween? All right. Okay. My other question goes to Reggie. Well, I don't know if he'll be able to respond, but when he was talking about the impacts of development in our territory, I wondered if there was ever any kind of surveys done on all the different impacts that you noted in your presentation, especially Utai in our area. Within the past few years, we've had the EM1 development, the Rupert diversion, and now this mine that's being discussed at this time. And I wondered if there was ever a survey conducted on the actual, because data is always important to, white people, and they use that often to determine how great or not so great the impact is. And I wonder because when we were consulted for the EM1 diversion, I can't remember who the presenter was at the time, and he was talking about the either the restorative measures or mitigating works that were going to be conducted on the land, on the waters, with the relocation of animals and estuaries and all this sort of thing. And one of the questions I had at the time was, what about the people? What about the impacts on our people? What kind of measures are you going to put in place to help our people from the impacts? And at the time, he didn't have a response for me. And after my question, he approached me and he gave me his little card, this person, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. And he told me to email him, and I'll give you a response. So I did. I emailed him 3 times. I emailed him. I didn't get a response. The 4th time it came back undelivered. So to this day, I still didn't get a response. And it concerns me because while Reggie was doing his presentation, I took note of, yes, there's positive impacts, and it has to do with employment and that sort of thing. But from what I could see and from what I heard, the negative impacts far outweigh the positive. And also, the positive is only for a few years. I mean, how many years? 20 some odd years? The negative impacts are for many years, even for a lifetime. We all know that. And right now, there are many of us that still carry the impacts of all the different things that have happened to our people throughout these years. Even to go as far back as when we were relocated from Old Nemaska. And it's just been piling on and piling on. And that's my concern. And when you talk about restorative measures, the land that's going to be destroyed is irreparable. It's going to stay like that. If you look up north in La Grande, that big stairway, that's going to stay like that. They're never going to repair that. And the waters that are going to be polluted, how do they expect to repair that? You know, yesterday I asked where they're going to be disposing the water that I was told into this creek that leads to Lake Magoose. And I just saw a map there earlier. It leads to another lake in French I can't pronounce, which leads to Nemska River, which leads to Nemska Lake. There's no guarantee that that water is not going to be polluted when it's deposits from a mine. And how are you going to restore that water back to its natural state? If you look down south where there's mines and development, the water's not restored. It stays polluted. Can't eat the fish, can't drink the water. I just heard somebody say earlier, you have to go and buy water in the store. I don't remember who said it, but I mean, even now we do that. Anyhow, that's just a few of my concerns.
Thank you very much. I'd rather not respond. But your questions, concerns will be brought to our experts, and hopefully it doesn't take 4 emails to get your answer. Thank you, Lillian.
Hi, Liz Hester. Mine's similar along with Lillian's. I just want to extend it a little more. When we talked about the data, and I know that there's mentioned about the community company committee to monitor throughout the term of the mine, 19-20 years. In terms of that monitoring, I'd like to ensure that there's room for adjustment in that. We all know that with change, especially quick change, we do enter a honeymoon phase, and we're on cloud 9 with all of the benefits that we get from it. And it's only after, a period of time where we begin to see some of the negative impacts. So in terms of the monitoring that the joint committee will be doing, that there's also room in there for adjustment, whether that's more training, more education, but also in regards to what Lillian was saying in regards to the data. I know we've got data that we can collect from our census and from the health board, incidences of violence or crime or alcohol abuse of that sort. But one area that I think that I'd like to see included in that is when we collect our baseline data at the beginning of the project, that we also do quality of life surveys. I'm not sure if that's the kind of, that was included in what Lillian was mentioning, but our life satisfaction, that those are also included, because I think sometimes we, like I was saying, when we see the physical monetary kind of benefits, we tend to, those tend to overshadow some of the real negative impacts of it, and that sometimes, having it expressed in our own personal way through surveys or whichever mechanism that they use might give more of a clear picture, and that this will be done at intervals most likely with this committee that's supposed to monitor every few years to collect that data, so we can have that to refer back to from when we started and over the years throughout the life of the mine. The other is in regards to this company, or this joint company community committee. I'm a professional social worker, and I know that our environmentalists and others that are involved in that scientific aspect is very useful, needed, and but I also would like to see in that committee, whether it's the local, regional, or other experts or professionals involved, that there also be representation from our social field, whether they be sociologists, social workers, that can give that human spin to when we're talking about the social and health impacts as a result of the project. I get that? Thank you.
When you had spoken about having committees and specialized people in the monitoring, and that's what's really good to have, is people that are specialized in social, like what you said, and in all of the USC, in all the Cree communities, there is to be a Whabouchi committee. And they are beginning to start one in Nemiska, but hopefully they will include parts of what was mentioned here. And I know that Nemiska hasn't really started their Whabouchi committee yet, but there are there are committees that follow up on different problems that they arise, especially on social. And
Testing. Do I modern zagon? Gugajam guy here. That bondsmagia. So you shama gwen. Did you bet tukshik? Did you bet the bajam to go? I the man them no bake, Mr. Warden. You shama. Jewish shamak, it's Tian, the Heide, Wishkich, Mornishtum, Gamson Husnanot and Skumon. Pegud Zagon, go week Taganot, I'll go away, do Hushulia. Scudaga, go week Taganot, Scudag, Marjuskich, Miat Noanot. A hag, Yak, Kaip Shuayuch. Away you truly are to could to get when jeet and do who suit gawi. A crack, to go new than guys, he could dog ya. A guy could to get nastabe, Jimmy way he good, could to get nastabe, Jew stab way he good new. Says good nest as you truly are a dog ya. A crack. Do you go get my piece? Oh, Manda, did you bet the badge stag week? Then my sketch, we all get guys, we got, then guys in its cogia. Betten is get nasty mute seed when. And then the and not snanwy the habits. Nastaver mute sewen. The habits. Jag is besluit ziel, gedugwen. Dan is besluit ziende. Doet misschien hier komt, maar goed neemt schat. Dan is besluit op gewoon doen en hebben zeggen. Hebben ze maar goed toestehende en het snel nooit mute ziet. Maar ik doe niet zeker, dan is spoihiwet kia, ogen kia. Ik ga je squeeze tegen het kia. Gedugwen. Яга is besluit terug te gooien. Hoe bogen het ja? Kijk nest. Dan de miauw stad niet. Hoe schuliem ja? Goed ik maar gewoon gebaan. Zeitum dan jees. Jei daarbij stad. Zeitum ge dan jees jagomit. Nieuw dan is het terug. Konshang ja is snakte ja. En is spite. Daar het spite gaat. Ook in het snanot gaat. Ook is een ze moet tegen de mes genoeg. Ik ga die dichtdagen, te gaan dichtdagen naar. Niagen, die hebben ziekt kon zien en die hebben ze dan ja. Die hier skoja. Zo, nu weet je maar precies die te baden moet. Man demino, snashes kan het gooien.
Hallo. Agra, natskuma dus makan mnogo vajindum jim hidag jepshish. Kaga sukcha guchten guisk jai dobi and yuimian tashin shagoimun and negedon. Nervous intan. Naush nagji mudan the pros. Mstizagon ga wichia bijda wiminjich. I can speak a long time for about the pros of the benefits of the agreement. Just to give you a small example, which is not very small. Inocho napch sheshbeg nishno 20 houses nochicha justegno how sketch aganocho I ochbijo bagay skomon. Companies guy opagabuch abetzion hanji am sketch. Mishtiga naushnig jemo dan like catering, Kipa ga benefitod VCC, Dodge Construction, mishti wanji am skumja betzion. Chagad nando nishtam datum no ichijanji iuj na moga jabtsij. But dugun ga hai dakizabi zagan locally, zaganigi shopman. I'll go back to the social issues. You need to prepare like social programs to use in your community. Each guy is not gold and lithium, but the benefits, pros and cons are going to be very similar. Baigon I with madnong baigon at the bedroom ga Bob. Nchad gawanji is naksij. I got to shoot seed, I shoot seed like a dishwasher, not the bojang na done. Check out the neum no, cham datum no by I shoot seed, by gubun habit seed. Like $50,000, mugai dishwasher eight debit seed done. That's just one example. And Nasha wash huge gaji was sneeze. I got say this, yeah, then I just be had near Shanamo. What my guy, women jish, stand that chay. Nasha G connection in a good ka bamexo janji. Mchadonji uchkoshimo, nabamo, utskomo, or single parents get left in the community, and though I would see like 1 week in, 1 week out, or 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out, I would see at the mine. You need to prepare like parenting workshops, budgeting seminars. There's a lot of preparatory work locally. You need to prepare your people, because when you're 18 or 19 years old and you get a check of like $3,000 every 2 weeks or so, that's a lot of money for a youth. And yeah, they go out to neighboring communities or Radisson to go pick up something, or they go to concerts. They're not taught how to spend that money. And some of the youth, when they go out, they go out to work like a father. They have grandchildren or children. They're leaving their families behind. So you need to develop these workshops. So you need to prepare for that. There's some cons, and I do believe there's a lot of pros also. Everybody from this agreement. But you have to prepare for it. You need to set up a lot of workshops. You need to have these types of meetings and voice your concerns. But like I said, there's a lot of benefits, but there is also a lot of preparatory work you need to do to prepare for it. There's going to be a lot of social issues on that. Mocht nou hoeft hij me dood te janji wish niet schuien. Nega nashim sti outsit bygone. Nasha wishkage kudig janji widzo. Like there's a lot of benefits, like I said. Like there's a lot of new home ownership. Yeah, janji. See cho dabna scouts kidumo. But they work hard for it. But we misaw one abitsin at the mine. So there we have to develop something in the community, gajinana, for community development. Augen min bygzgon nashawi. Mshkuga jamamuga bushtamag. Agana ipshishmuga itmadug. Ashkmagna mitchau pugabu the mine Mogajan development in the last year or two of development. Then they're gonna start pouring the gold bricks, then operations at Dukch. Then after that, that's when after they pay off their investment, some of the other benefits, but like I said, you have to prepare for the negative things as well. And use all your resources. You have Cree Health Board, you have Cree School Board, you have your local government, you have a liaison officer right here. I'm so bit checked, Jinji. I'm hacked. Jadon stunk. I'm going to shoot my other. Matthew.
I got Mirich. I need to three then and do better when it's better. I had it's sticking you to go. I'm where he got. I got that and some that.
Okay, Bella, should we have now?
So I'm not. Watch it. I had we I he go near I had. We got we nästan better än I had. Jag måste I had. Den stark hoget I uppmärksamhet I had. Med det kan snadda gå I had. I'm saying you physical, mental, emotional, spiritual mag. Jeg kunne have nye og jeg mod man. Jeg kunne have stinge dagsgrunde matchens. I have new those forga. I have I skulle give position I have. Det hænger gammel nye du dagsgrunde hen matchens som så tjano nem skæno til Chinatskena her. Der gab es Egyptian kaga duten sittom kaskut hydro guy her. Guy with the magna dog our parents. It's 9 years old jidan. I got kamus Diana here. Grief and gidenga. Skuda guy here. Mama me wabma guy here. Tempted. I took mama. Then that is that. Okay, but it's been I know much that I know them scatchers. Do it's no comet sit dog. I took Mama and that is put go comet. I got Nistam got a cogiana here. Oh, here done a stack who go out Hino Street. 9 years old, Dan. Me not how them scatter. I had Gadayan, teenager Gadayan, many habits stingy dark hogon. And there I had that guy. I had new guy I motkin ham, new hayo, the 4 beings of human being got Jack Higon's tea. My schedule I moten. Ice. Gamos Diane's tea. Eskutuk the Rupert's River. Eskutuk Gansit man. At the dog at the chain and sit man. I got mistake I had. The matsions I had. Impact got ducked. I had. Matsions to go stingy and sauce on. Jibet oxen at the Rupert's River got a pogno door. I got Gago Buitayan I had. It's awesome. It didn't matter. I had cameras, I had whopped man. June I had. Muy isn't just to duty day 10. Muy again duty day hand. Oh, Jibet again, Joab Mugian. Cause Nina Matsions, I got guy. Kak stayan gaji we buitayan then guys mesti impact guys to dagan of all these developments guys netskek nem skawino gidenga dabotenga egnes nak sado snetskkonji our youth cause ni isn't get jano ga say nem skawino chinetskenanon he I had the impact I had yakuig to matsu note. Egona go yo snack si change and your youth mix stouty yum the ga yum the go mix stout English snacks yan. A pianant man nate man a nanotka I respect them not bill. I had cabbage with Maggie. Tangais I had dark hogo doga. Yes, to eat Magnano. A date man, nigger. They had nigger guiten what I experienced. A date man, guiten. Cause Matsuan, Egan Niganan, a duxka. Stark tanano, I Matsuan Gidenga, because I experienced that. I was hurt of all the developments that went through in the territory. Territory. I swapped them. Msti hakuwen tukunde deka matsuwen noch. Egna ga weti snaksika ar tianoga inustit. Hewabm ko enji mstika tgoyo espuido matsuwen noch. Egdende hewtbuit ngidenga ndetanish Actagnot, I had Stimenoga. Actagno, Stack Hugunano Getiano, which I couldn't couch much and get the land. I couldn't couch much Higuik. I got which most type and that's a match who not a yak Higuik. Wim said when better, Jama Higuto. Most I had in the better meetings I had at Duxka, most I had financially got Shuliao in Anoxka. Agnetic man to share ga. I had a yakigo and Dabahite who matsions who de hitch, Mstiakigo. A dog did show and I had a sad statgan to honio a date man. I stand them chewy. I used to wonder, I had my brother Freddie. Kajiyemet. Kajidemuk. We are, Freddie was brought up in a deca. My parents on the hostage. Kajimet. Jinsut to yak hugot cousin yak hugo geni moi mogan just stan chechi I had chechi yemian ji so tema Freddie skujuga yemet but same out ga na babam ga edit skut magut to honio nash I had you to start getting the development Gitanga. Especially I had the Rupert's River. I got that state man's tig at Jack who could go in it, the matsions. I got to snacks yan mistake and Indian I had anger. I had a lot of anger. In me, I carried anger because of the impact I faced when I was still young. Mugagang jiden, I thank you, I have Cree Health Board under mental health. Mstinju it got because I got mentally jack hugon. Jewish Hugot Cree Health Board msti ni Napmatsion Jignoten Jeji Minot Stayan. Muitugun I had twin 제지 민화 치구익 에야쿠익 데 집마츠노 직원. Yes, there is medication physically eyaksik, but mentally, emotionally, there is no medication that can cure us. Only yourself can cure his own. I have which is in a good Kadayani and Stitch was on Jian. Job good names Skyno Tasco, a Yemianot. My question to extend it, Yemian Swason Jian inside me. Kaganjish, I have Shemi 8 man. I got Gamustayan. Anger, Jish, Ayemian. Cousin Satan, I dealt with my anger, my hurt, because of I got our land, Jimustan, Bits Matsions. I'm going to have a Gawi Sheriani. Thank you.
Mycket spela. Naski mal gel UNG geçbet imigwi konchish Reggie Tomatok. Kaga okay min da good when that's how I Linda.
Linda Orney. I have a question for Najay. Mr. Wadden. I had did you guys encounter I had mistake high school dropouts to go work for the mine?
Wajah. Baigun nai we shwana da tukshna hai nuts nanach. Eda yena now shop eda ita benosadan dan ha. Game hijich gan in demandaitan and dishnachka nashka mshti jaji bitsten konya at skudmazan. Naga jaji drop out done. So we like to encourage the students to continue their education. Adna shakot takenda na bitsit. The Chitabajagum God or Chitabajagnet, catering, janitorial. The Gunda good the Kabitsun, Gidaganoj, Yaitan detection, I sped it's good Mazana, Gistaganoj. Agun bags on Gishkinotach, Nashka, Misaga on Dakhogoja, Nash Free School Board. Nashimshti took dropouts, and Nashagada Jonji, Gistach. Agun bags on Nashawayat Station, Jinan. So we have to work with the other entities. Any good Abitsun. Jajinadichke Ashaidan Doitaction Ishbajait Skudmadzan Jishtadan. Any supervisory positions, niga working in the mill, working in the geology, the laboratories. Any of those jobs nianadikon dashakotam dushim shtiakotam. Like there's a lot of benefits for the mind. Like I said, you have to prepare for both negative and positive things. Algamin baig zagon geshim Mohammed Natum Higiashkan. Agation doit much Muganjaji, Nigdikinia at Skudmasud, Dajajish Bitabihut, Digo Myosho Gahai. Tashemshti resources, Judnum the mine from Wiminji, Nadabit Sijanji, Gash, Motashkajo, Yashkuishtunkagan. There's going to take a lot of resources from Utaitaka Bitsisuj, professionals, carpenters, engineers, Muganwan. Asian Doitaxin how. Motoshkejo Machagun Kojaitek, Augun Nashniganshkejo Bichtunka and Skudmadzan. It's going to create a void. So training, employment, training, education is very important. We have to put it as a priority. Augun min Gudigzagan Nashjai Yashkuishtamak.
Another question. Why it's concerning the salaries, what's the purpose of why they're so high?
They make a lot of money.
Besides that.
Okay. Besides the obvious. By Goneyo, Zoyo Nashai, I stated now Shajiganaima Joyo, like I turnovers. They have to spend more money on training somebody else in that position, so it's cost them more money. And by Gone, Zoyo Gishigan Autumn, I match a good Nyawayo Akot Sich, to Jimmy the Pamwaj. Because you're away from your family, yeah. A week or 6 months out of the year, you're away from your family. And you're working at a remote site. So we match again, yeah. David Chaganok, yeah, we all I know it's not. So yeah, got touched Nashna day, Abit Sijanji. That was go Moga Hanji, Agawi Nigadisha. I go Nigadaj, we pa Magano, and again, her we jogging, I go Nigadisha town or good Johnji, our window hood. You have to try and find harmony, a balance locally. So there are programs of different kinds.
I'm going to ask these questions because I kind of, like, Nemska is a small community, you know? We might lose all our employees. If there's more money involved, I would make out the mind. And the other thing is in the high school at Adoegan, mean, like, they might just drop out. We know some of them are 20 and they're still in high school. That's the other thing. Good.
Good. Since content, Shishka Jinskoshida and Gia and Gayan and Ninskana by a child and dance. I was 21, J to Benasid Shashka. Jabitsu Nadan Ha, not Nanage. Like stau shop bnasid 19 gate bnasid. Ja got town like muitista high school. Ker secondary 4 jita. Mogaj magay jigit madden mean chesh we jista ya school jit saitum nanda jishimshti we chigut jista again her high school. Mugmag jishin shkoshidan again and aga jay shit janji to him I never sketch gone that a jabit sit by my son jabit at the mine the bad jigit should get hey a bit chagin jut utna jut nagnoj mugut nemska you're gonna have to take naga then that jut nako jabit chagin a bit sisuj talk to your one jiga nyan go vejigo jimmy chaga we minji and then mugad nako ga yutawan kudukt I
have another question. How many Eleanor mine how many actually are EU Jabatsida Kakumstakshud?
Nishtem med the Wishtagano Jago mind. Gaidguya Josh the Bajagit should Goshan Naiji EU in the underground miners Najagagon. The Badaj and the Bochtout Nashtij underground miners because Troilus was open pit, Ishnagan. Mostly operators, truck drivers, and so Muichia Johnny the skills. So Munachi Daitana and Gajashim Chadj Noch, underground miners training G Chonanj to Matagmi. We read my G Chonanj G Skodumoganaj. Mogaj Mag Euj, match gonna get Satan, Banash involved in Stan Mogaj. VCC Mogaj in Davidson. I'm not really involved in the mining, but Askoka Yebjne Negadon, the him Haujenji. Mashkat same go 300, Nishtom Datu no Jicho Jai Euj versus 800, Mamu Wanja Jidajinda. So 300 out of 500. 500 non natives, 300 natives from different communities from Chesapeake, Wiminji, East Main, Washkagnish. The Batsata Ganji Nemiska, honestly. Machka Gabitsanda Jidaj was Honapi, Mistsini, Ujbugmo, maybe 1 or 2, maybe from here, I'm not sure. But Msan and Jadot Nananjan Jabitsich. I Chishnakshkan Naganasho Chichiji Yujin than how I go Chiayash the training, like there's structural work, there's geologists. Mchadud Namagajanji when you develop the mine, we need the people with the necessary skills and training. Education, like Jajinadishne, hayo professionals specialized work. Algun nash each shuj magajanji, nega yajik sunyo Jajinadishne abitsun, because wishka wa show mining, mugash hydro jidgona, no shaga nutsnano jago washka janoch. So August just the March got the it's good mokuj. Tishmak the Jim Chad Johnny in the bita bit we have see dog on ya but soon. Mugmag the other benefit I at good moganoj and Anji they can work anywhere in the world or good guy it's transferable that knowledge skills is transferable to another employment area. Mugandandagya.
And the other thing is I had Janet when EM1 was there. Nojum chedo I had. She fire hagno jonje. You know, I know a few people who only work there for the day. A smuk I had. Like we have skognado, like well fired and still just doing in hey tayak janda.
Augen bags gone geshe make the match. Augen I G Mahanan Jashanji again, and then the Zoigation in Skitchnaga, we read my bit Sitrayo, DMO, EM1, EM1A, Rupert, Kiagodakai, other mining related activity like the Ishchimaj, that Raglan mine, Ishingadaya nickel mine. G Mahanad, then Zangishin Shkamagja, Giagadukch, Utkawi Minji Shaitas, Giagadukch, Giaganai turnover, like our Pogano Janji, which I just cognizant got the guy I got be doddick on, but because there's a zero tolerance in Nochmak, Muinash, Nchado is Naxo, and I got a George Hoganot got Nchadonji now Shabbat Sijin that 2004 wish could you bet Virginia. I got to say technology got double mind that Dukch developed in a project exploration. Ashkai 2004 Ashka Dowjan da Bishonji Abbott Siege Ashkamocho Pognoj Ashk Dowjan da. So there's people that have been working there for 9 years. Now Dowjanji zero tolerance on alcohol and drugs to gun. In Gmag Bishonji get you at Shognoji just Quagani Janji in the because there's random drug testing. Kya Kemaganji Ajibad Jobid da Womenjich. Nega na shadit spaghetti kudik janji ishmchin da hai 6 figures say nanach you should sit ungak 6 months a year I would sit give shakot touch nega be jobi da nega min haju jogana the wasam bita shit ne min kod or party wood they snagni diga je shu poj min gao I would sit no much distribute got back to their shift kudik janji get judge hoganaj mshti magai they're starting to learn to budget their money. They're starting to learn to but you need to prepare. That's why you need to prepare for it.
I got gerne some chediatske. It's way prognosis now. Yeah. Check that Tabe snacks in then our community wouldn't, our members wouldn't even benefit if.
But can I imagine you mean Gao? Tajina Dutch, Abitsionio, Aji Wapoganoj, Mugmag Jipchinokta, Shaji Wichaganoj, like treatment date touch, program Aji followage. So if you got caught over there, you still had a second chance to go back. Job moja gishashji bishanje jiwa pognoch, shashmin gao na damina betsiuch. And by gone go the bedroom, we got nigga ha. Wish kids goden Canada training at the matagmi or extraction course. First year gabitsan and jiduk 6 months. Like 1 week in, 1 week out for 1 year. Gabin beach 130,000 jutsin diduk. Wishkij mo guy adabitsan. Niemag match ga wop hoganot. Agashko wop hoganot 240,000 jutsin we saw jiha. Like 6 months abit sit. Jashaj Jim yak someone yawayo with mam haji bidot just the day before he went back to Wiminji. Jiajaga diachi wop hoganot. You have to prove you went to a Whabouchi seat. You got treatment, I just said, rehabilitation, and Guisko is trying to do medicine. You must not monitor how not. Just make me a bit soon.
Bagman's going to aim then I don't know if I did the school in the environment, healthcare environment, and Bagan our teacher like he was really against projects mining get damming rivers. Okay, Jim Howman, I used to talk to him. The guy here, he wasn't supposed to do that to the students. He was only supposed to teach. But Yabich, I used to talk to him on the side. Well, he was talking about it. There's this term that's called like a Dutch disease. And what happens is which in there he snuck where I mines the core or and do abits do NG. We need new mines. We do new then they just hang around, hands in their pockets, wait for another project to come up. I think Holland, somewhere in Holland, to do with their gas. Much of them they sit back, wait for the next project, because of that money, salary. It seems like we have it because what happened was Janam business we couldn't compare our salaries with the band or the health board. Okay, they sit around, wait for the next thing to come up. And that's what it's called, our teacher.
Dutch.
So it's a Dutch disease, and it's a industrialization of a nation's economy. So, and he just said, go do your homework now. And he couldn't say more, because that wasn't his job. We got to put down the mines, put down the dam, rivers, and but G-Moods guy, So I'm really, especially the river, they dash much water, then they split in there. We say them when nobody knows what's gonna happen, but when it happens, it's the split guy. Then go. I'm good man. Some get to respond to my questions. Thank you.
Wait, Mark.
Okay.
Say Mark. Just got just big at this school young. I was tired you mad there. I got the same Mark. I'm not next you got you some gun they just school young. Me hand I got job making this. My most knob ma. Okay, Babanke. What's your mayo? Okay, I got Malana here. Uga Titan she got Jidine liaison officer in Whabouchi. Like, let's say if you're in Lemmiska, how would you look at it? Because I know Eleanor is Wahinagan Whabouchi, and you don't have to deal with any traffic. Plus, this mine, we're going to be dealing with big traffic, and plus people are going to be coming into our community. And plus, our children are outside sometimes, and we don't know, something might happen, or Chiga, if you were in, because I know, Chiga, oops, this is you get?
Man go mo jadi shi ginata na experience ke cha da imen jis ka zangation in shkamat. Kya ho ai ngana sha ji ba shom go na ba sha shka mo imatsia. Ne ga win do husi a ji dakudach. Saitan ga nash adnash ya nakt da imen ji sha ji dukt adnash pashnaksh kya hod. Yabja shay jay shidak khugyak ne ga in the daytang ge shidak khugyak da mogach. Good and bad, there's both. You have to ask yourselves what kind of a legacy. Motion Dutch disease game mohigadet. Augen beiga gojum diach kan stuyach. Augen beig zagon desha mogajo an stuik kan jinan awidum ko nots naso. Tgoyo inigdumo ko jay joshmishno. Tgoyo shnigdumo ko josnizoj. Augen jay shmamad naitum ko mogajo imi ko nots naso. What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? Augen beig zagon go ignacht mashin jidanan yan like EM1, EM1A, Washkajiga Gudikai projects. There's a boom and bust. I know it. There's a lot of money. Shishigod that muin daitanan di schnakshagan jinan. Baigan zagon na shay negadaitunken baigas si jinano. Eda jayud niganijin I am skuds mouch. Njiganji yabchtadnias to muimugo you or musaka on imenjich. Baigan I rehabilitation gain anach. Gya tagoniju udiamun and gya im skudsma. And now in the agreement tagoniont. How do you want this like the action the future edagnant? We gagation daitika jimsadayont ganaftegnigan nas skomonia tagonij. So you need a lot of meetings like this. You are headed in the right direction. You're talking to your people, you're having these meetings, and you have to keep voicing, like you're asking questions, voicing your concerns. And it's important you get your youth involved, you get the community involved, you get whoever's negotiating the contract to come in and do presentations. You have to do 20 more, do it. Keep informing your people, the youth, do it at the school, do it at these types of live stream. And like I said, Augen niptudan what you're doing right now, but do it more. Dishmshti dudunk. Augen dan bishka wushtan, because bam we got nigajihni dudungo. It's mistashwan Daujashwanji again had she good, but Daujwanji gahai optiska jaji wichi wichimshtiwaya. Nchadojanji again dohut, Daujwanji and dohut. Like there's different people and living in one community, so you have to try and manage misago and the jesh week chigut. But nchadanji jigajig da kugoj, augenjay shignacht maga. Pshitstocket sti moj, but the pshitstocket jiga and again shkatkajai wanji. And they're there to help, they're there to listen. And augenai. Agda jibishmid na advice jesh yashkuistmak. Agda.
I mean, I got guy where he gonna here. This guy did it now. George guy, but I just come out Georgie. The real good thing about you guys is it's gonna be close. You guys can go home, so that means any people can go anywhere they want. Because I know Eleanor is security. It's inside. They cannot go anywhere. Just put in there. I went to go do elections over there. Just put in there how I because I will shigo. Gavit. Like explain the elections you know do that. Just again in the site. I saw it and said the point in there. Yeah, you saw the security to the but here we're saying it's going to be right on the traffic too, almost. Well, you know, a lot of people use that road. I'm pretty sure you use that road to Rudzanor. So it's going to be different. Again, traffic. I mean, the concerns is about people coming into my reserve. And I to the note I did presentation more and I'm doing not and it's just not the community safety or even the our building at the Narrows because you haven't when you did Semano they beat David when we would beat. You should not make say got you here. Like that, it's coming to give answer him.
Agada, what you need you? I was good my son, you know.
Good day. As a sister, we dami doing as we my dami doing Yemen. I kage itague. Nu naskama Reggie Tomdog, Public Health Officer, the Cree Board of Health and Social Services, because by the budget stagwe and chish. I kage would go the Nashkusto, I go Simon, Harry, Jolly, Lillian Diamond, Liz Hester, Bella, Oliver Jolly, see Nashkama Day, who's basically good 7 days ago. Nashkama, oh, Linda, I'm sorry. Yeah, check Linda. I want to see you. I got Nashkama, Mark, the volume stag we can see us the good news ago. The way down, she said, this is my natum to go. Enjoy the yes, custom case, the Nigant. Mr. Nashkama. Okay, as Sistano and she say agenda, I guess I got it. Who's going to Nusnaham, who ends to you? Okay, do you guys about ask Stake, Deputy Chief Thomas Jolly, do you guys make closing remarks as you start?
One of the things the Chief and I started to do is he would generally make all his remarks in Cree, and I do English. So since he's not here, I'll do them in Cree. Sorry, Tanya. Mstit naskumt no, bituk shdegut. Genji wenji ebetko. Genji wenji gadadon egnopt koigam sastewit. Nastawe ji buksetenan ji dbajum stadat. Gechi oge ji dbajum yeg. Ge ji wishamanan wenji. Deputy Grand Chief Rodney Mark Naskumden Kababuyinot. Thank you very much. Mine Bejim Hiat. Mark Migach Dukshi Francois. Thank you very much for your presentation. Kelly, thank you. I want to say something in particular to the next person I'm going to mention. And when he came here in 1977 when we didn't even have a community. He was one of the first few non-native people to set foot on Champion Lake to help us develop our community. His name is Alan Penn. Migach Alan for being with us all these years. Reggie, sorry I missed your presentation. I had to go home because two of my kids we were having a family supper for their birthday, so I didn't want to miss it. But I'm going to see later what you said. And everybody else, I plan to look at everything what was recorded here and what was being said. I was very impressed and I was touched by it when I saw the kids. We been to da and Najay Najimeten Wabungo education da. So with that, Hagan Ugashiti get yoga Ujiga Adawash Shistano Wapse is Gi Brasa Day afternoon day. But I want to thank you for the supper you provided for our members and our guests, Migachki. And so tomorrow we'll start at 1 with Mr. Brasa. I want to thank you again for having to delay your presentation for one day, and because we weren't finished, and but thank you for for allowing us to finish what we wanted to do. So since you did that, tomorrow is your day for the balance of the day. And miigwech stidno, and have a good evening, and God bless you all. Miigwech.